And action.
Alrighty, hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the R6 Cos-Cast. I'm joined here today again by, of course, No Limit, also known as Jay, as per usual. And today we have a guest in Force today. He is a pretty well known and been around for a while T3 player. We're hoping to get some insight today on, upcoming stuff with Blast and what's changing in the lower tier below like Pro League scene, and get his opinion on Brava, how he thinks she will be used in a competitive aspect. And then we'll take a look at some of the roster changes coming up that, it's very spicy this year around. Lots of huge roster changes that nobody ever saw coming. So, how are you doing today, Force?
Good. How's it going?
Good, good.
Can't complain. I'm hyped for next season. Next year, technically. I'm hyped for it. I'm ready. Freaking Brava. Thoughts so far. At least from what we know. At least in the general setting. It doesn't even have to be pro league. Just a general setting of Brava. What is everybody's thoughts on her?
I think that she's going to be a niche operator. I think she's going to fit that flex role.
Yeah.
I think it's going to depend, like in a competitive setting, what the site looks like, the utility that's being used.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's obviously going to be map dependent. Lineups right now are like pretty crowded. Like you can basically run. There's so many different lineups you can run with. The way utility meta is kind of over with now. So I think she's just going to be like a niche operator. Ranked, I think, can't complain. I mean, she's got a para, nasty gun with extended barrel. So
how much damage does the para do now? It does like what, 50
or 54 with extended barrel.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So with a 2-tap body shot on what, 1 armors?
Yep.
So she's got a good weapon. I mean, that's basically Grim all over again in my eyes. I think she's gonna be better than Grim overall.
Yeah, I think anybody at this point is gonna be better than Grim.
But yeah, I think she'll definitely have a spot in certain lineups depending on how it's played. What setting it's in.
Yeah. I think Brava is gonna be more so on the fun aspect rather than competitive aspect. If that makes sense. Like I think she's an operator that's great for the casual community or even just generally the rank community. She's gonna bring a lot more excitement rather than, like I said, competitive. Because, like you said, she's a very niche operator. She's gonna be very dependent on what the defense brings in reality. Because reality is they can bring an Oryx, a zombie, just generally any operator that she can't hack, or just any useless operator. Because reality is you bring a mute, you can hack a mute, but at the same time, what is that going to do for the attack?
Right, exactly.
So yeah, I do agree. She's gonna be very niche. I don't think she's gonna be OP. I don't think she's gonna be broken. I think she's just gonna be an operator that just simply drops and just just have fun with her. Simple as that.
Yep, she's gonna have a good gun.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think defensive, like you were saying, the defensive meta now is 1.5s.
Yep.
You see a lot of Warden, you see a lot of Oryx, still see a lot of Alibi. It's all about bringing more so a gun.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, especially in the T3 scene, like nobody obviously strats, but I mean the game is kind of flowing towards the bring what you could fry with.
Yeah.
Especially on defense. So.
Yeah. I heard. I was hearing Macy saying something about it. And it was going over on Twitter between, I think it was Macy and Bikini were talking about it, that she's not going to be good for the simple fact, for one, like at least in the rank standards or just the general community standards, nobody really drones. Like it's very rarely you see people play the game how it's supposed to be intended to be played.
Right.
At least in the ranked aspect. And then when you do play her, she's in a way where I think she's going to be a worse Twitch, right? Because by the time she's probably hacking any equipment against at least a good team, that drone's getting shot out already. Mm-hmm. So you might as well have destroyed it, and at that point, you might as well have brought Twitch. So, like I said, she's going to be a fun operator, but I just don't see her being competitive, and I don't see her being used a lot at all.
Yeah,
definitely not ban worthy.
In ranked as well. I mean, how often do you have teams that actually play her on utility? Most of the ranked, it's like 2 on site roam or like a soft roam, and they're just playing for picks essentially.
Yeah.
So I just don't see her outside of her gun being really good.
Yeah, I just don't see it.
So, but I think in a competitive place.
Yeah, maybe.
I think in the the higher level of play, competitive, she's going to be 6-pick the character, right? it's completely dependent on where they are and what they're bringing, right? If
Yeah.
like you will never first pick her. You will always like have your lineup, see okay, they have like all this stuff kind of geared kind of towards sight, but not like holding that specific like spot. So, you think of like Bank, where you have like aggressive ADSs that a defender's not really playing directly on. Then, yeah, you're going to try and hack that ADS. So either they destroy it or don't notice that it's destroyed and it catches a C4.
Or smoke or something. Yeah.
Just whatever.
Yeah. It's pretty much like what Forrest said. It's niche, and it's gonna be very dependent on what the defense is bringing. She's not just somebody you're just gonna be like, yep, choosing her. That's
Which I think Ubisoft did realize it themselves a little bit when they were looking at the character, because they also gave her the super shorty, which admittedly does give her a lot more than a lot of attackers right now in terms of like that soft destruction. So you might actually see her kind of pick up the role sometimes of like a buck, because she can be that secondary like floor breach. You won't see her really replace Sledge, because Sledge slows the nades, but maybe that buck occasionally, because at the end of the day, it's still 2 more drones and then the secondary shoddy. But if you're actually using like the drone for the drone, yeah, she'll still be really, really niche.
Yeah. I think if I'm scaling her 1 through 10 as an op, I give her like 6. 6 out of 10.
Really that low?
I wouldn't give her a 7. I don't think. If I'm pushing 7, it's just 7. That's it. Not going higher than that. It's 7. 6, 7 for me. I wouldn't go any higher than that. Good gun, like good loadout, but she's almost, to me, in my opinion, like a worse Twitch. By the time you're playing, like if you're playing
in a
good
lot
team,
of aspects,
like in our level of gameplay, if you're playing a good team, by the time you're hacking something, that drone's getting shot out.
Well, and that's just it, right? Like that hack duration of what is it, like 2 seconds? I know it's not crazy long, but if the drone is destroyed before that hack finishes, the hack cancels, right?
Yeah.
So, no, I do agree with you, and Force, that
so it's like in that time being, you might as well have chosen Twitch to just get rid of the utility rather than hacking it. So that's why I kind of put her in that 6, 7 area. Might change depending, like if we see it throughout the season. Maybe there's some creative things we haven't seen yet, so we never know.
Do
what else is happening in,
y'all think, at least at the beginning, here's a question for you guys. At least at the beginning, like in all levels of play, whether it be competitive or ranked or whatever, do you think Mozzie sees a increased pick rate right at the very beginning just to prevent people from bringing this operator? Because again, with it being a 6-pick character, you see Mozzie, you are not picking this character. Why would you? It's too much of a risk, just in case.
I think you're generally you're gonna see Mozzie a lot. You're seeing him a lot right now just because he has Roni and just good util period. So, but will it up in percentage? I think so, just simply because Brava won't be bannable. So therefore, I think yes, people will start bringing Mozzie until people realize that she doesn't really bring anything. So therefore, when she's not being present, his percentage on pick rate is just going to go right back to what it normally was.
Your thoughts, Force?
I think the overall problem, like with Mozzie, is that he's got a 1.5, but he's got 17 rounds in that gun.
Yeah.
So I think, he might counter a little bit, but I still think you'll still have your Oryx, still have your Warden players. Mute is still played a ton rank. Still like a really good operator overall. I honestly don't know like what true counter is for, outside of I think drones are pretty shoot. Look at Flores. There's a lot of cases where you're using Flores to loosen up like the site. And even that's hard to do. Mozzie wasn't really a counter to Flores. It was mostly mute at the end of every now and then you have your Mozzie players. But I don't think that'll change much in competitive. Like I don't think you're gonna run Mozzie just to counter in ranked. Sure, Mozzie's got a 1.5, so it's still good with 4. But yeah, I still think like lineups are still clustered, like really crowded based on what you need on attack and defense, depending on what you're. Like I said, ranked is kind of a free for all, man. Unless you're 5-stack, everybody just kind of plays whatever they feel comfortable on.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Yeah, I don't see Mozzie being I don't know what the percentage is of his pick rate, but let's just say it's like freaking at like 60 or some shit. I don't see it going anywhere like like 70, 80-ish. Like, no, it's just gonna be whatever it is as of right now. Like,
Mhm.
and again, it's only gonna boost up only because Brava's not bannable and people are gonna want to play her just to test her out. But then when people tend to realize she's not really the op to bring until you really need her, Mozzie's pick rate is gonna go right back down to what it originally was. It's just I don't see Mozzie's pick rate going up and staying there, being at a high percentage. No.
No, I don't see it as well.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. What else is happening? Year 8 season 1.
Forrest, of
Muzzle
course,
brake?
mentioned the 2 muzzle attachment changes on the muzzle brake and
Oh yeah, that's
the
right.
compensator. Muzzle brake going from a 45% reduction on first shot recoil up to 50, so pretty minor on that.
Mhm.
Of course, first shot is kind of like the way they do first shot with the muzzle brake in Siege is a little bit different to some games. It's not actually technically the first shot, it's just your recenter speed is quicker, which most greatly affects the first shot, but that does slightly bring down the recoil of every shot after as well. So you might see a little bit of a resurgence there, but the big one that Forrest was talking about earlier before the show started was, of
Mhm.
course, that compensator going from, again, it was like 10-15%, I can't remember off the top of my head, to like 30, like double.
Yeah.
I definitely think you're going to see more people running comp things.
Yeah.
Like I said, the biggest ones would be like Ella. I think it's going to be there.
Yeah. Ella's
Uh,
gonna be a scary one.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't think there's a problem with her right now, so she's just going to be better with that.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Nothing really comes to mind that stands out with like a ton of horizontal recoil that it's
Mhm.
affected. Maybe, I mean, I don't personally think the R4C is in a bad spot, but maybe they run it on that.
Mhm.
Jaeger, I guess. I didn't personally test Jaeger, so I'm not sure where he's at.
Okay.
Those are like the big 3, I guess, for you that I would assume you probably run compensator on and overall be
Okay.
better.
Yeah, I'm not really a big person when it comes to attachments. I just go whatever I'm personally comfortable with. I'm not the person who just goes like, well, this is meta and this is what's OP, so I'm gonna use it. I just whatever I'm comfortable with, and as long as I can straight line it, that's kind of what I go towards or gear
Right.
towards per se.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, a lot of people are in the same boat as you there, Jay, 100%. And I think those people will find themselves leaning towards comp because it's a lot easier to pull just straight down than also
right.
left and right. So, I mean, you will probably see people veer toward that'll probably become one of your bigger like recoil averting attachments. Obviously, you'll still see a lot of suppressor and long barrel with how they perform right now, but out of the 3 that reduce the recoil, that one is probably
Comp,
finally a
yeah.
little bit even with the rest because it's always been a little bit on the weaker side because 10%
Yeah.
just wasn't anything.
Yeah. I think comp will be the meta of the attachments. I mean, obviously, like again, you have your power, your commando, the zero gun, and all that. Mavs AR that's probably gonna stick with extended barrel because 2 shots to the body on a one armor, you're probably gonna take that every time. But yeah, I think the commentator is gonna be the play.
Yeah.
What else?
I just gotta say, I appreciate them trying to. I think sometimes they're a little bit misguided on what they're trying to do, but I do appreciate them trying to make every attachment actually finally viable because we have gone
Switch it up.
so long in this game with muzzle. Like the only 2 muzzle attachments like worth using were muzzle brake and flash hider. Finally, like all of them have a purpose, and then. So it is nice to see. Again, I think some of them are a little bit misguided, but I think with some tweaking they can be pushed in the right direction.
Yeah, it's just nice to just see them finally switch something, not switch it up, but just like to shuffle things up per se, and just like give the community like options because
Mhm.
it was with the barrels, it was always just you got to go with that one, that's it. And with the suppressor buff, obviously we had that. I wouldn't even call it a meta because not even everybody was really using suppressor. But then it was like, all right, that's one thing they're fixing. Now they're going with extended barrel, and now we have everything being
Mhm.
worked upon. So, like you said, it's good to get some variation and just shuffle things between attachments.
Yeah. And I do believe the last thing really worth talking about in year 1 was the reload rework. Which I
Yes,
know
yes,
Jay
sir.
is very, very excited about this. Jay has been a very
Been
outspoken
begging for
proponent of
years for
this.
that shit.
He brought up the idea first when the LMG meta was at its peak. He said this was what he would look at for like a big reduction in it, like for a good band-aid fix. And of course now they're doing it like across the board with everything. So since I know Jay's thoughts, we'll get to his because he'll be singing praises. But what are your thoughts, Force?
I think it's gonna be a shock to a lot of people. I mean, if you didn't play the TTS, I personally am like 50-50 on it. I played a lot of COD like at the time, so you can't cancel reload in that. I cannot tell you how frustrating it is at times to not be able to cancel reload, or coming from a game where you can and then going to that where you can't. It's a pain in the butt to get used to, but I think overall it's good. I think you're gonna have a lot less mag dumping. People shoot essentially. I think that would have been a good fix personally when the LMGs were kind of out of hand. I personally didn't have a problem with the LMG meta. I thought it was, I think it was obviously overbearing. So was Zoth, but at the end of the day, I didn't think like it was a huge problem.
Agreed.
But that 110% would have fixed it. Like it wouldn't be the same.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat with you. I said the LMG meta wasn't so much an issue as to where it was more so like it was annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and I always thought that if cancel reload or just any which way they would work to cancel reload would fix the LMG meta.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the reload thing is going to be good. Not 100% sure if it's going to stop aggressive plays because obviously it's running to sight now or get aggressive insight, get a pick, and then just pushing kind of thing. I think it's going to slow it down in that aspect, especially because LMGs aren't a thing now. You've got your standard mags. So I think it's a good change. Like I said, I think it's just going to be a hard change for a lot of people, including myself, to get used to.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Now me, I fucking love it. Fuck that shit. Nah, I'm sick and tired of like, cause I'm one person who just like sound whores the shit out of the game, and I swear I will hear somebody reload and be like, all right, I'm pushing it. No, the fucker still had like 5-6 bullets in to fuck me up. Now the fact that that's out, I'm happy. I'm up here with it. I love it. Can't get enough of it. I can't wait. I already like played the test server like 5 billion times, so I'm kind of used to it at this point. And I'm also not a person who just mag dumps, so therefore I'm perfectly fine with reload canceling the way it works. And like you said, like you're 50-50. At first, I was 50-50 with it because I was like the habit of doing the sprays here, and just reloading just because you can.
Right?
Is it probably gonna stick within me? But at the same time, I'm perfectly fine with it because it's not something I do all the time. I'm not somebody who goes around every corner just like pre-firing 1 or 2 bullets, go to another corner, pre-fire 1, 2 bullets, reload. Oh, just realize somebody's behind me, cancel it, shoot somebody. I don't do all that. I hold angles, and I'm not mag dumping, so therefore I'm perfectly fine with it. I'm sick and tired of these people who just see a soft wall, just mag dump, hope to get something, and they don't. But because they can reload, cancel, they can still get somebody. I think one thing that would probably like add a benefit to this, and this is something a lot of people probably are going to say it's a hot take and aren't going to agree with me, which respectfully they don't have to, but I'd say take out one shot headshot. That's me though. That's me. That's a whole nother subject though, but reload cancel. I love it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, it'll be just one thing that Siege has never had. I don't think up until really like Siege has always had like an idea of where like you always have the like no matter what, and sometimes it doesn't like it's how do I put it? Siege as a general rule always like they're looking to give you the opportunity to fight back no matter what position you're in, right? That's one thing that Siege has always strived to do, but they've never like sometimes when a player does it to themselves, they need to be punished. And this is what they're looking at finally here, right? Because like when you look at, for example, let's take like one of the oldest mechanics in the game, Repel. You are vulnerable on it, but it is something where you can flip upside down and make sure you can get a wider angle to watch for like runouts, right? You are not completely defenseless on Repel. Like if you couldn't flip upside down, all a defender would have to do is like run slightly away from the door and you wouldn't be able to hit him. So they've always had the idea of you can always fight back, but again, it's nice that it's finally at the like they're realizing, oh, hey, sometimes if you do something to yourself, you maybe shouldn't be able to fight back.
But the thing is, though, you could still
there is the one in the chamber.
There's that one in the chamber. That's what I'm trying to say. Like you still have that chance.
Exactly.
But it's like you said, though, you're getting punished because you shouldn't just be able to reload because you can.
Mm-hmm.
Like now you have to be wary about your situation. Oh, there was somebody. For instance, I'm walking up fucking Armory stairs and there's somebody in Trophy in Oregon. I shouldn't be able to just spray and then just be like, man, no, I'm good. I'll reload. No, you got to know that there's somebody in Trophy. Drone yourself, know everything. They're bringing a lot more. They're bringing tacticalism back into the game, and I like that. I like that a lot.
I think this is just their way overall to slow down the meta.
You are right there. I
mean,
think
the meta now it's shifted quite a bit. It's not nearly ability based as it once was. It's way more. I wouldn't say gun skill, but I mean essentially that's what it is.
I think the meta right now is pick the best gun, win your gunfight. It's just straight like that at this point.
Yeah, especially from a like everybody says, okay, attackers, are always at a disadvantage. I personally disagree. I think the game's very 50-50 now.
I think so too. Yeah, 100%.
I think it depends on how it's played, right? Like at the end of the day, attackers have 6 pick or whatever we want to call it, attacker repick.
Attacker repick, yeah.
So their lineups, if they know what they're doing, especially at a decent T3 level, T2 level, T1 level, they know what they're walking. They can pick their lineup on what they need and go with that. So I think the meta is just like I said, defensively is like I said, bring whatever you can fry on, and that's play. You have maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 ops on a defensive lineup that you for that site, and then the last 2 are literally okay. Take what you guys can kill.
Yeah, take
that can help with
Yep, 100%. I agree. That's the meta as of right now. Just pick your best gun, like you said, like there's always gonna be those 3 ops that you need for the site, and then those last 2 are gonna be the players that are just like, yo, pick your best gun, frag with it, just try your best to get your 1-for-1s.
Yep, and that's what defense is now, especially in ranked. I mean, defense in ranked now is literally get your picks and then fall off, or do whatever you can to waste as much time as you can.
Yep, agreed. And I think reload cancel will definitely.
It's gonna be different.
It's gonna be different, yeah. There's no really telling like what it will bring 100%, if that makes sense. Like it's not gonna determine like what meta we're gonna have. Like for instance, now we're strictly back to utility meta. No, but it will slow the pace of the game down at least, and we'll see what the community shifts towards with it. Because like there might be, we still might have just those aggressive ass people for all we know. But
yeah. I mean, you're definitely gonna have your players that can win their ones that are still, they don't need the entire mag. Play it safe.
Yeah. I think it's also it's something that welcomes newcomers again too. I think it makes them more comfortable, if that makes sense. Because if you're slowing down the game, you're welcoming the new players to learn more rather than just going inside, gunning the fuck out, and all that shit. So I think it's a win. I think it's a win.
I do too. I think it's personally going to be rough for me because I was messing it up in COD when I was playing COD. It was frustrating, but I think that overall it's a good change. So.
Yeah. What else is happening in season 1, year 8? Is there anything else?
I think the only small, like very, very small tweak is Twitch's drone doesn't have like as much like drift to it. I guess that like it stops on a dime more now. It doesn't like when you let go, it has like that little
that little push at the end.
Yeah, so like just gonna make little jumps easier. I feel like seasoned Twitch players like aren't gonna notice a whole lot. Maybe on like jumping they will, but like for your default stuff. Yeah, maybe just like skill jumps, you'll notice a little bit.
I feel like there was one more thing. I just can't remember what it is. I could have sworn there was one more thing. Why am I brain farting right now? There is definitely one more thing, and I just can't remember it.
0.
Yeah, that's right. They had a 0 rework. That's
yes,
right.
Yeah, the 0.
Rework, like a little change.
They're saying it's rework. It is a rework in the way that like they're adding a new mechanic to the character, and that is like the definition of a rework. But it's not like anything groundbreaking. It's a good. I would call it more a quality of life change above all else.
Quality of life change, yeah.
And for those who don't know, when you shoot a 0 cam currently in the game, it automatically penetrates onto the other side of the wall if it's a soft wall, and will automatically be like workable from both sides.
Yeah.
In the future, next patch, when you shoot it at a wall, it's like even a soft wall, it'll stay on its side that you shot it from, and then you can hop onto the camera and then choose to punch through, and only 0 can choose to punch through. The teammates can't. Which now this will give him the opportunity to actually destroy stuff because he will be on the camera and like ready to fire his laser.
Yeah.
So because currently right now, if you shoot a camera like into sight, you can't get like anything with it most of the
Because
time.
it's getting shot out immediately.
Yeah, and you don't have time to actually pull up your phone and get on there. So it will be good for, like, if you need to try and get an ADS off like a bandit trick, he is now better at stuff like that.
Yeah. With that, it's not really anything really big to talk about, but I like the change though. It's great change, quality of life change. I think the whole community's been asking for that since he kind of came out because they were like, every time I shoot a cam, it's just getting shut out immediately because they know exactly where it is and I can't do anything with it. So I think it's a great change, quality of life change. I don't know why I understand why they labeled it a rework, but it's not really. It's quality of life change in my opinion.
It is super nice. I am gonna like again agree with you there. I just want to put out there though, this character is going to fucking just one day people are gonna realize how good this character is, and this character is gonna get hit hard with a fucking Nerf bat.
Oh yeah,
Zero is unbelievably strong right now, and
good
he's
gun is
not
pretty much a
broad.
Valk. Yeah, it's good gun, pretty much a Valk on attack. It like
Gon 6,
3 speed,
can
right?
openers.
Gon 6, can openers, claymores, 3 speed.
Yeah,
like two good guns. Like MP7's not the greatest, but like good gun. And then you have his other gun that does fucking 51 damage.
Yeah,
with
54.
Spears. I think it's a spear. It's pretty good. Or it's not a spear. I can't remember the name of it.
SC 3000K.
SC 3000. Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah. He I think he's a niche operator again. I think he's played in bank a lot. It's a big map. It's hard to see the zero cam because of like how open it is.
Yeah.
And he fits a lot of lineups. I think he's like it's like Doki and Osa right now. The simple fact that they have EMPs fit every lineup. I think he's kind of in that same spot. You can bring him. He's in like that weird flex spot where okay, this is what we need. Maybe we flank watch. But we don't want to bring the Nomad, or we need an extra intel op. You bring the zero.
Okay.
And openers
I understand that.
Super good too. So.
And there was one other thing, by the way.
What's
it doesn't apply to us, but it applies to the console players. Mouse and keyboard.
Oh yeah, Mousetrap.
Yeah, Mousetrap.
Yeah.
You guys talk about the whole one second.
So of course, shown at the Invitational, it was they had its own segment. It was its very, very, very big reveal for especially for like an anti-cheat program, probably like one of the bigger reveals like we've seen in gaming for an anti-cheat program. That of course being Mousetrap. If you were a console player, you are probably well aware of what this is and super excited for it. Though there is some controversy that has cropped up a little bit about it right now that we'll get into when we get more into this subject. But at its gist, Mousetrap is a brand new software that is being developed to detect mouse and keyboard on console. And of course, due to Ubisoft and any game company, they can't really like outright ban on a console quite as much. They don't really have that authority. They can suspend, but they can't ban. But instead, they just decided to go with a completely different route. And basically, if you are caught with mouse and keyboard on console, you are given a forced latency. Your actions will respond like probably a solid like 30, 40, 50 milliseconds like behind, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it gets really hard to aim. Or I guess
it's almost like juggling when you're shooting, pretty much.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what it is. But I think that's huge for console players. They've been asking for this for God knows how long.
Oh, unbelievably, and nobody thought Ubisoft would ever be able to do anything about it for pretty fair reasons, as we just discussed. But they are deciding to take a crack at it, and huge commendation for it. Like no game company has decided to take a crack at it until now, and they have legit like. It says something when the developers of the Zim software and Zim hardware actually put out a statement in response that I don't think people are really like talking about the fact that they actually responded. They are aware that this is a huge problem for them. It's a pathetic response. I'm not saying like, oh my god, like feel bad for them. No. But they actually did put out a response, which you kind of wouldn't expect.
And how does it work now? Like they said, there would just be like a temporary ban now for those who consistently are still using MK even after it, right? I think they said something like that. And then they were like, we'll ban them for like 7 days, then they can come back. And because they want to give them the chance to like change, like, and show them that you should be on a controller if you're playing console. I'm pretty sure they said that. I could be wrong.
It might be something like that. Their goal is not to like remove you from
Push
the
players
player
away.
base. Yeah, it's just to push you onto a controller. That is their goal. And I personally, I said it at invite, you know, I think it's hilarious, the idea of like making someone so frustrated that they change themselves rather than banning them. I like the idea a lot. We'll see if it actually works. You know, we don't know yet, but I like the idea of that a lot.
Maybe too. Yeah, and that.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Force? I know you're not a big console guy, but
I mean, I started Siege on console, so I played beta, and then I played my first like 3 years on console, and I didn't really. Maybe I played against mouse and keyboards. I'm not sure. So like for me, it is what it is. Like you know, I think it's good. I mean, you know, longevity of the game. I'm assuming. I mean, there's obviously PC. It's got Pro League and everything like that, but I'm still going to assume that majority of our players, I hate to say it, are probably on console for a
I
number of
think
reasons.
it's like a ratio, or like I think it's like 60-70% are still on
Console.
Yeah,
console.
on console.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, so they have to do something at the end of the day for them, because that's a chunk of revenue for them,
mhm.
whether whatever it may be. So I think it's a good step. Like I said, I think ensuring their games gonna last longer. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think it's good.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's just an overall W for the community. Just good thing. Good job, Ubi. Simple as
Yep.
that. Took long enough, but at the same time, got it done though. So
Yeah.
good for them. I think that's it for like what year? Season
That's it
one.
for the first season, yes.
And what's with season two? We get constant
Well, we
rework,
can
right?
look at like the whole year as well while we're doing this, yeah, because of course there'll be a little bit less than each season. But yeah, it's Consulate rework, Frost rework for I think that's it for season 2 that's been shown so far. Actually, and Rank 2.0 will be getting some big adjustments in season 2. They put out a dev post I think today.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, they did put a dev post out today. Yeah, 100%.
yeah. So I guess yeah we can touch on that. So obviously Jay and I were at Invite, and I just want to say when the Frost rework at Invite was shown, there was huge amounts of booing.
I like it, to be honest.
I have actually come around a lot on it because I do remember this was quite a bit ago. I still think you used some adjustments, but anyway, this was quite a bit ago, back when they were looking at stuff with Thatcher when they first opened that can of worms. They discussed the idea that they don't want the game to be binary. And that's what they're doing with Frost, right? Because currently, in the current build of the game, the way Frost works, it's either like you hop in and you're down, and like that's it. Like you're basically like screwed.
You're useless. Yeah. You're useless.
Yeah, like you can't really do anything. So it's either you hop in, you're down, that's it, or you shot it and it did nothing, right? So the idea that they're doing now with that is and as we said before, the idea of giving players the opportunity to fight back, at least to an extent.
Yeah.
You hop in, you kind of made a bad play. Well, if no one is there to directly punish you, you can now fight back. Now, if you play for, you think of like Clubhouse upstairs, like Master Window, Gym Window, Con Window, Frost still plays exactly the same there. You still either have to take the fight with the player or the bear mat, otherwise like you're gonna die because somebody else is going to come over and kill you on the bear mat, even if you did win the gunfight with the player. But it's gonna, like, if there's a Frost putting a bear mat in random nowhere, that now doesn't like punish your team immensely for walking into like.
I was gonna say, I think that's what they're trying to drive towards. They don't want just random frost mats going all over the place. And now, like you said, you're just nothing now. You're literally just there waiting for something to happen at that point. And now they want like players to act more upon having a frost mat, or it's kind of like what they did with Capcan, where it only does 50 damage compared to what it used to do to 100. But moving back towards frost, it's just like they want to like give opportunity to players, if that makes sense. Like, because for you to jump in and maybe you do want to take that engagement because you know somebody's at a door frame, but you have a window to hop over. You want to take that engagement, but you hit a frost mat. So the person that you killed, yes, got killed, but you also took a W in a way because now you forced that person to jump into a frost mat per se. And I think overall it balances out Frost in a really cool way. I think they should probably, from what I saw on the trailer, like take back a little bit of like the blood leak or whatever it is, the blood trail. I think that's a little like
It's pretty
iffy.
massive.
It's it's pretty like all
I
right.
I would
Mm,
like, yeah, so currently, like, at least for the way they showed it, it is like, so of course when you're downed you leave that like constant trail. It's like that but bigger, and of course you
yeah,
can't sprint. I'm okay with the idea of the blood trail and you can't sprint because, again, like, you still walked into it, you should be punished, but now you have the opportunity to fight back. So again, like, they're on the right track and I do like
mm,
it a lot.
yeah.
um so yeah, I mean, all in all, uh
I think it's a win. Like I think the crowd definitely overreacted when they first saw it. Because
I
I'm not gonna lie, I was one of the people like, what the hell is this? And then I saw the blood trail and I was like, all right, you know what? That actually it's kind of cool. It's
I
kind of cool. I like it.
I think the general perception
Mhm.
is like that. Why are they doing this to Frost when other characters that need changes a lot more than her exist? And I get that mentality, and I have the exact same one. If that's what they're showing for like year 8, like, this could be another year where Blackbeard like just still doesn't get changed, right? Like,
Mm.
so I think that's at least where I fell. I think that's where some people fell. Again, the actual change itself, I'm in favor for, but
Understandable. What are your thoughts on it, Force? The Frost rework?
I mean, I think the game being down and out basically sucks as of right now. Even like if
Yeah.
you fall off a roof, so like the frostbite change, I
Mm.
think it's good. I think I personally don't have a problem with frost and then like the current meta. Like I said,
Yeah.
again, kind of a niche operator.
Yeah.
Operator going to be played certain lineups, certain sites, depending on what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think it's a good change. Like I said, it sucks jumping into a frost mat in the middle of nowhere and there's nobody there to refrag you or anything like that. And you still
Yeah.
get up and kind of, you know, move
Hmm.
about. So I think it's a good change. I think ranked is going to be big.
mhm.
I don't think in a competitive sense, man. I mean, you're playing frost for, like you guys are saying, take that one. So
Yeah.
like either you're jumping in and you're taking the one with the frost mat, or you're taking the one with the player holding.
Yep.
So I mean, I think it's still going to play the same in competitive. Ranked, I think overall it's a good change.
I don't see this as a buff or a nerf. Again, it's technically a rework in their eyes. So I don't see it affecting her gameplay at all. I feel like it's still the same thing because
Yeah, I
reality
don't.
is like you should not have a frost mat in the middle of nowhere and not acting upon it and having a player jump into it and just them twiddling their thumbs while they're bleeding out. That doesn't make sense to me. So I think
Right.
it's a rework that makes sense. I think
Mhm.
that's the best way to put it. It makes sense to me.
Yep. I agree. I think like I said, overall it's good.
Yeah, 100%. And then we got the consulate rework fucking finally. It only took them 8 years.
Yeah, definitely. That map needs to be.
That
Just
map
needs to be
needed
looked at.
something. Bro.
Yeah, I mean,
That
there's
shit
there's
needed something, man.
there's a few maps that honestly could probably be looked at and tweaked.
Yeah,
Coast is pretty rough. Too small now for the way the
yeah.
game is played.
I agree. It's literally just a square.
Yeah, it's not enjoyable to play
No.
personally. I don't mind it, but like it's not one of my favorites. That's for sure. In ranked, it's rough, especially a high elo. It's just a slaughterhouse. So
Yeah, just constant attacker sided, right? If I'm correct.
I would say so. Yes.
I I don't remember
It's
the
weird.
pure statistic,
It's
but
weird. At least in a rank I mean, it's only in ranked now, so there's no
Yeah,
competitive to it. But like, as far as I'm concerned, the way it's played is as a defender, you either spawn peek and get your picks, or you die spawn peek. You don't get
yeah,
your picks. It's around anyways. I personally think that map, along with Coast, are
hmm
both attacker sided. I think that you have to play both very aggressively as a
very
defender,
aggressive.
get your
Yep.
picks, and then fall off.
Yeah, because
Uh,
because consulate's like one of those mats where like if you're just settling yourself on site, you're gonna
it
get
doesn't
pinched
work.
because yeah, it just
Yeah,
doesn't work at
it
all.
doesn't work.
Mm-mm.
And I personally don't think maps should be played that way, especially from a defender standpoint.
mhm.
Yeah,
Just doesn't make sense. I don't think
yeah,
Siege was intended to be played that way. So,
You got to extend some way, and I feel like that's actually one thing with Consulate. There's nothing you can't really extend in any way. Like I think the most you can get extents on is the split site, and that's not really a favorite site. So
no, and like I said, 'cause it's not in the competitive map pool. I mean, it's just a ranked map pool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like a
Yeah,
crapshoot on the site you go.
it's just
So
it doesn't bring much to
no.
the competitive scene. So maybe this will shake things up.
Yep.
I
Maybe the rework
hope.
will shake things up. I hope so.
I'm really looking for. I mean, like they gave us. We don't know obviously much about like the map itself yet. We've seen like some snippets of some areas, so we have some ideas of how some places might look. We don't necessarily know how they'll play, but I'm really curious on what the hell they're doing with the garage because they hinted at like something interesting there,
That was weird.
And
I
then
said, yeah, picture that was so weird.
They hinted at it. They showed us the picture, and of course, I'll kind of describe it there. It looked like the garage door was like almost down to like what a crouch level would be, kind of like bank garage. But then there was like some boxes that made it look like it was like almost a single door. Yeah, so I don't know. Like it's weird. We will have to see.
I'm just excited for it just because this map has been fucking blowing my mind since like it literally released. Like we've had this map is literally the only map I think that stayed the same since year one.
It's only had one minor change, and all that was gave some extra ways around outside, so you could avoid spawn peaks, and added the fourth bomb site.
Yeah, the fourth bomb site. Yeah. That was it.
Yeah, it's had some serious problems since. I mean, as Force said, it's very similar to Coastline, and the big thing I see that like the two maps share a problem is, as you said, no defender should play how you have to play those maps, and like because if you just sit on site, pretty much no matter where you are, there's a crossfire from you, both the attackers outside. That should never happen. Like you think.
My big issue with Consulate, if anything, my biggest issue is it's kind of like what old Skyscraper was. You just have attackers outside the whole time.
That too.
It's just pure. It's just attackers repelled the whole time, or just chilling outside, getting picks because that's how you have to play it. Unfortunately,
you're essentially playing for picks, and that's all you're doing. Once you get your picks, you take map control what you need, and then you go for execute.
Yep.
Yeah, so. That's just.
But yeah, like I said, it's about time we finally got the rework for Consulate. It was much needed a while back.
Oh yeah.
I don't think anybody really enjoys the map.
No.
Like, do they not? I'd like to know your mindset.
Well, it's
I can play that. I'm not gonna say it's a terrible map. It's just again, it's been the same since year one, so therefore, like everybody knows the hows and what to do. So it's just still tried out.
It's the only map that like, when you get to the map ban pool, which we'll kind of get over to that later. It's the only map that like will actually beat out the newer maps and be banned instead. Like you will see people like, oh, we need to ban Emerald, we need to ban this. But if Consulate shows up, teams will actually ban Consulate before Emerald, and that
speaks volumes.
That speaks volumes. I like Emerald. I do think Emerald is actually a better map, but a lot of the vast majority of the player base doesn't. Yeah. But it speaks a lot.
Yeah. I think that's it for season 2, if I'm correct.
Yes.
And then there's those like little details that they said they'll put in, but that goes for any season. What's happening in season 3?
Season 3. I actually don't remember a whole lot on season 3.
I
know season 4 we have the shield rework.
Yeah,
shield rework's going to be huge. I think that's really good.
Yeah, I think that's been one that's been needed. Shields have fucking suck. Shields suck.
Yeah, they do.
They suck to play against, and they suck to just be on. And I'm a Monty main, so I know the pain of when people are trying to play against me, and then when I'm fucking playing it, I'm getting screwed over like all the fucking time on dumb mechanics. Like,
I think in like a competitive sense, with like a lot of structure and coordination, they are very, very hard to counter. I mean, you saw it a lot in Invite. W7M played Monty quite a bit, especially at Clubhouse.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the other thing too is like, let's be honest, shields aren't like appealing to anybody. Like if you're a new player, you look at them one time and then play it one time and you realize this isn't it.
Yeah, it's very hard to master as a shield.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, that'll be a good rework for everybody.
Yeah.
It brings a lot. So
What else happening in season 4? Because I know we have the Shield rework, which
New map in season 4, which has quite big narrative significance. They didn't say what, they just said it will have big narrative significance. So we could also be getting a narrative event with that map during that time. I wouldn't be too surprised. I obviously that's speculation, but I do know they did say new map with narrative significance. And
which one of the seasons is getting the arcade playlist? Because one of them is getting it, obviously.
that's no, isn't that 3? Isn't that the thing they announced
Maybe.
in 3? Because
I know it's one of the middle seasons that they're gonna have the dedicated arcade playlist. That's like
It might be
always
2,
gonna be
actually.
active.
It might be 2.
yeah, it's one of those two. I can't remember.
Oh, it's 3. Somebody said it's 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I was gonna say, because we're missing, because each season had like 2 big things that they hinted at, right? And we're missing still one on 3, because there's the Frost and Consulate for 2, Arcade and something for 3, and then Shield and Map for 4.
Yeah.
Oh, 3 has the drone wall. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's gonna be nice.
Which one is that?
That's going to be
Three's
the
got the secondary gadget for.
Oh,
defense.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about
So-
that. Drones can't see through it. It's like pretty much a sentence just for drones, though.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Gotcha.
Or basically any camera. So
Okay, that's
Yeah.
cool. I forgot about that. That's gonna be a cool one because
yeah,
they're gonna
it'll be
they're
nice.
gonna be giving it to ops that have pretty much intel, so they can hide it from drone. Yeah,
It's
it's gonna
I'm
be an interesting one. It's gonna
I'm
be interesting.
excited for what like cool things you can do with the gadget. What I'm worried about is going to happen with the gadget, at least in like a rank standpoint, is you're going to tear down a double door like that looks at spawn, put that there, and they have no fucking idea which side you're gonna be looking at. Like if you just have like a cam
Yeah.
outside.
You're gonna have to face check everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now I'm thinking about that. Yeah. Okay.
So that might suck for just like you think of like chalet, like double door, right? That you're just gonna throw that there, and then so there can be. I'm excited for what like creative players are gonna do with it. I'm really excited to see what happens there, but I already know that's going to be something.
I think that maybe that gadget and Mozzie will probably work pretty well together. Honestly,
Yeah.
that
It'll also
might.
be
I think they
good.
showed it with Maestro, right? Because that one's probably gonna be another huge one.
Yeah. Maestro bubbles. I mean, Maestro. I personally think Maestro's in a really good spot right now.
Really?
I think he's a good op. I think still. I think it comes down to the reason why he doesn't get the play he gets is just because, like I said, like Mute is super strong right now. You have those, like I said, those 1 to 3 defenders that you're going to play per site. This doesn't fit. Just crowded. Like I was getting to, like it's just hard to fit certain operators in lineup.
See, for me, I think Maestro is a good op. I think just in a smart person's hands, or you don't even have to be smart. Just in a person who just knows how to play the game. Maestro's gonna be powerful, but I think Maestro might need a touch up, like with something. Maybe make his lasers shoot a little faster, because I barely see people play Maestro nowadays. It's weird to me because, like you said, he's a good op. I think he's one of the best. The best, in my opinion. He brings great utility, everything.
I mean, his gun is great. Like,
Yeah.
there's no, and he's got the bailiff, so rotates. He brings barber impacts. Not to mention, I think his cameras are super good. Like I said, I personally think that he's very balanced.
Same.
I think that you're not going to see him in ranked just because he's probably not the safest op to play in ranked because it's ranked, but in competitive, I mean, there's quite a few teams that play him now. They play Echo quite a bit, just free intel kind of thing. I personally think Maestro's really good.
I do too. I'm there with you on that one.
I think, like I said, it just comes down to maybe not fitting the meta in the current lineups that are needed to play.
Yeah.
But who knows where that goes with the future seasons.
Would you think 3 Evil Eyes is too much?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just checking. You never know.
No, I mean, the only reason why I say it is, I mean, when we play Maestro on certain sites, we use him for drone economy. Put them in heavy drone spots where they're not necessarily going to face check things, and you help maybe set them up. Like Cafe is probably the only one I can really think of. Like we'll play him on Cafe, 3rd floor, Maestro bubbles, technically watching CS, and then one in red. And we essentially just use it for drone economy, right? Like you can't drone us, you don't know where we are. We can rat a little bit more. We don't have to peek to shoot the drones, and
Well, yeah. If I remember correctly, back when I used to, coach a team that you were on, like I know you were a big fan of playing choke, like just somebody in choke, and if you can prevent somebody from knowing that they're there, they can't do anything.
Yep. Yeah. So I think he fits. Like I said, he fits certain sites depending on what you're doing, your playstyle, and what you're doing.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think his gun is great. I think overall Maestro's a good operator. I just with the current
He just
meta,
doesn't fit in the meta, unfortunately.
it's hard to fit him in a lineup essentially. So
Well,
I understand. I agree.
truth be told, like how you just described Maestro, he's a good op, but he only works on like certain sites. That's what like ops should like. That's where their characters should be, in my opinion. I think like where Maestro is.
I think R6 has learned, UB has learned a lot with that. I mean, I don't personally think in the last 6 ops that they've put out, maybe more, have been like, oh my god, this is a meta breaking op.
There was a zombie.
I don't
think meta breaking though. I don't think.
I think Azami is so. I'm good with operators like Azami only for the reason that they are a skill ceiling operator. Right?
That's
so your
fair.
Azami is only as good as your player that understands how to use.
Yeah.
She's not just some operator somebody can get on that doesn't necessarily know what they're doing and make an impact in the game. I think I like operators like that. I think operators that have the ability to be impactful, but it's based off of the player's skill ceiling and how smart they are. I think that's good. And I think UB's learned a lot through the years. Like I said, I don't think there's been a meta breaking operator the past 6 to 8 operators. I think Malusi was really good when she first came out, and they obviously made adjustments to her. That's the only one that I think, exactly. I think from there it just comes down to, bring the operators you need, and So I think that's good. I don't think there should ever be an operator that walks into the game and shifts everything. Like, oh my god, we need this operator for every lineup because it's just that good. I personally like the whole bring the operator because it's good for this, or So I think that's the direction they need to go, especially like I said with lineups
I actually agree with that.
With the way lineups are essentially going. I think that's what you need to do. So
I actually never thought of that like that. Yeah, it's actually pretty interesting. Yeah,
it's good balancing.
I highly agree with that. Actually, yeah, the way Ubi has actually been treating, not treating, just developing these operators. I'd say that's the direction we would actually probably want to go with every operator. Make it to where like the players that are choosing these operators obviously have to have a certain skill ceiling and just they have to know what they're doing when they're choosing these ops. And I agree with that. They're not just like those ops like your Capcan where it's just place forget and just fuck off their own.
Like I hate to say it, Oryx is probably one of my favorite operators to play in ranked, and I find him to be a very brain dead operator.
Yeah,
he's got a good gun, 1.5. He's fast, can make rotates. He reminds me a lot of old school Mozzie when Mozzie had super shotty. Like he could make his own rotates out. He could solo roam. He wasn't pigeonholed into certain things.
Yeah,
and that's Oryx essentially. I would argue Oryx is better than Mozzie was.
Because
he had super shotty,
barbed wire and proxies too, so he could technically watch his own back.
Right. The only thing that Mozzie was good at was 9 drones. Oryx doesn't have that ability, but I mean, close, right? And
I mean, I was gonna say you have a fucking T5. Once you see a drone, I hope you're
right. Exactly. Like so, like outside of those operators, like they're just not. I mean, they're fun to play in ranked because, like I said, good gun. You can do whatever you want to do with it. Very versatile.
Yeah.
I don't think they should make operators like that personally.
At all.
I think Oryx's whole idea around him was counter shields. Well, shields aren't a really big part of the game now.
Yeah.
And so,
and on top of that, me being a Monty main, you can literally just counter him. There's a gap you can actually just melee him as he dashes you. So
right. Exactly.
But again, that also comes down to how skilled you are
on Monty, right?
Yeah. So. Yeah, I'm liking the way the direction they're going towards with ops. Bring it to you have to have a certain skill set to choose a certain operator. I do like that though.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Somebody in my chat said there's Quick Match 2.0 in season 3. Nice. I don't think we know. I don't think.
I don't think we really know what that's going to entail though.
I think it was just labeled there. They didn't really.
I think they only really mentioned that like they want to make it so that way people more treat it as like a smaller like unranked match, like and actually like play it through and don't leave quite as much. I think that's all they really said was their goal. We don't know how they're going to achieve that. Whether that, I mean, I'd have to assume it'll probably feed into the reputation system. Would probably be a big one. But yeah, they didn't really say a whole lot on that, but
Yeah,
appreciate whoever said that because I did
yeah,
forget about that.
JB said it. So I mean, I think it's just gonna not end up being just like Rank 2.0, but again, it's a 2.0, so it's gonna be like a beta thing. They're gonna test it out. So I think it's probably gonna take like a solid year for something like a quick match 2.0 in order to develop
Hmm.
into what it should be. Because I think that's what's happening right now with Rank 2.0.
Yes.
They're trying to figure things out, which is good. Which is good. Just I think this season with Rank 2.0, it was our first season with Rank 2.0, and there's obviously a lot of adjustments they need. Like for instance, like once you meet your skilled MMR, your hidden skill MMR, there has to be like right once you hit it, I think you should just drop into plus minus 30, 40 each game.
We
Because
talked about that.
yeah, this season I hit champ and I was still getting 70 like plus like 20 games in after. And it's just like, all right, I guess. Like and then I'm only losing 9. So
Yeah. How was your ranked experience, Force, for this season? If you played a lot, you might have just been playing more comp.
No. I played a lot.
Okay.
It's probably my most played season.
oh nice.
I would say overall, I don't have a problem with Rank 2.0. I mean, people complain about the matchmaking. I think matchmaking is a little weird with the two MMRs. I think that as time goes on, it'll get better. I think right now it's just rough because essentially everybody started at 0 skill MMR and
Mhm.
played, let's say 50 games deep, and they kind of got an idea on where you're at.
Yep.
I like having the freedom of queuing with whoever I want, whether I'm queuing with
Yes.
or whether I'm
Blessing.
queuing with like a real life buddy or something.
Yeah.
Whatever. I like that.
I think that's a blessing. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I think this is arguably probably one of the better ranked seasons for cheaters. I personally, and I'm gonna say, out of all my matches, I probably spent about 80% of them in champ lobbies. Weren't bad. We didn't play a lot of cheaters,
Nice.
honestly. So like, it was enjoyable. I thought it was a good ranked season.
Yeah.
I think that 2.0 is good. I think that as time goes on, like I said, further seasons down, once they fine tune it, better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like it.
Yeah. I think rank 2.0, in my opinion, it was a not 100% success. I'd say like probably like around like 80, 90. Because again, like we said, there was that skill and mark since everybody started at 0. They didn't know the skill set for certain players. So there's that issue. But I'd say my number one issue it was probably more of a season thing rather than was the rank 2.0 was just the servers being down. But that has nothing to do with actually rank 2.0.
That was.
I think if it wasn't because of servers being down, I probably would have enjoyed ranked a lot more. Because there's just times I go in the week and I'm like, can't wait to play and can't. Just can't.
Yeah, that was
They definitely had some bugs with the servers and then like Uplay Connect and stuff like that, which it is what it is.
Now, from my understanding, I heard it was because of remember now there's cross play between consoles. So from what I understand, it was because of that though.
I heard from my understanding it was from the anti-cheat that updates every 2 hours.
Oh, really?
So they repatch. I don't know the exact time. I don't know if it's every 2 hours. I just know that every so often, like when you boot up your game and it like loads up to the screen and then it'll close and reload, it's reloading a new version. So from my understanding, the way it worked is that it would basically recode itself every so often to basically essentially try to stop cheating. It would come out with like a new game version.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure if that. I know that was a big issue with a lot of the Uplay bugs. I'm not sure about the server part though.
That would make sense, at least in part, because the servers were going down within like the same 30-minute period every day. Like it was about the same, 8 o'clock hit, servers are gonna be down.
It was always at the best times too, like the prime scrim times. Like, hey, you can't even invite each other.
So yeah, that's
4 p.m. hits and all, and they're like, all right, servers go to shit.
Down.
Let's go.
Yeah. Or you couldn't like the Uplay thing. The Uplay thing drove me nuts. The fact that you couldn't invite people. And in a squad. I'm like, man.
The fact that we have to find some kind of way to finesse
a loophole, right?
Yeah, it's like every single day there was a new way to try and find a loophole to invite your friends, and I'm over here like going fucking nuts. I'm going on Twitter to see who has the fucking answers.
That's what I was looking for too. I'm always checking Twitter, like, oh, servers down. Let's go to Twitter. Let's see what people are doing to get around.
Who has the answers?
Right?
Yeah. The servers being down was probably the only thing that drove me fucking crazy. with
Yeah.
the season overall. Aside from that, I agree with you though. Like I think the anti-cheat actually did a really good job this fucking season.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
know EU's a little bit rougher than NA. I'm not sure what the reason is behind that. I would say a
Mhm.
majority of my cheaters that I like played against were on
Mhm.
EU. Of
Okay.
course, don't get me wrong. There's been quite a few on NA too, but
Yeah.
I would say about 85% of my games that I played probably.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
really
think it was a
good.
good season. I think it was a good season. I
I
remember there was one season where you couldn't even play. It was like every 2 games you play a blatant cheater.
That
And there's nothing you can do.
was Senza Vector Glare.
yeah.
Vector Glare was pure
I
shit.
know it was one of the recent ones. I just remember
Yeah.
like it
I
was
mean, technically, it
awful.
was Grim season too. Those 2 seasons were just
Yeah.
Yeah.
pure shit with
Thank God
cheaters.
everybody that I played with had Smurfs. I'm not even kidding. It was like every other game we'd be canceling and then just trying to swap, servers,
Yeah.
going to Central, going to Discuss,
Yep.
just trying to go
Oh,
to wherever we could
that
to play.
just yeah.
So
Yeah, those 2 seasons, I was just in my mind. I'm like, yo, once I hit my rank, I'm done. I'm done. Once I
yeah,
hit my max, I'm good. I'm out. I don't want
yeah.
to play this shit.
I never had any desire to ever push the champ. I'd always been close, like 4,800, and
Mhm.
I just never. I'm like, this is not fun. Like playing
In my
No,
against
yeah, it
opinion,
people
wasn't
trying to
worth
get
it.
through there.
in my opinion, I think champ. Like it's a hot take. I know a lot of people be like, no, we need it. I feel like we don't. We don't need champ. Like they can remove that, in my opinion, and it wouldn't make a difference. It's literally
Yeah.
just diamond, except I think it just goes to show that you play with stacks all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I see. I'm like 50-50 on it because I never really cared to get it. Like everybody
Yeah.
I played with, for the most part, eventually got it.
Yeah.
It's I don't know, man. It was just kind of like a flex, like right to be
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I'm champ. That's about all you got out of it. So like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I could take it or leave it. I don't care. I don't think.
Yeah,
I know
I'm on the
there's
same boat.
people. There's people saying they should add another rank in between Emerald and Diamond. I'm like, please don't do that. The
No,
game's
Yeah, that
the
wouldn't be
game's already
necessary.
grindy enough. We
Okay.
don't need another rank to.
We don't.
It's just gonna make it like the people that are getting champ. Guess what? They're still
Mm.
gonna get champ. So now you're just
Yeah,
adding another
it's not
rank
changing
for
anything,
yourself
yeah.
to grind through. It just doesn't make sense. Like it's
'Cause
not gonna fix
it's
anything.
champ is really just, again, like I said, it's diamond in reality.
With a
It's
flex
just
as
like
for
anybody,
Cynthia.
but you just flex that you are a champ. That's it.
Right.
Well, and
there's not a true reward to it, right? Like
Yeah.
you get a charm and you get a background now. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like I'm personally not gonna rock either of them. That's my
Same.
opinion.
I
But,
really don't care.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is.
Well, I
The main
think
thing is,
so.
for me, it's just something to grind for alpha packs. I think they give you packs for
Yeah, I mean,
everything you get. That's all
at
it
the
is.
end of the day, I can honestly say somebody that's been playing R6 since the birth of it. I mean,
Yeah.
I play the game to play the game. Like obviously I like ranked. I like to play ranked to be good in ranked, but I mean I'm just playing the game to play, right?
Yeah, I'm on the
So-
same boat. Like I can, if I like, let's say I fucking like ended up being gold. I'm just here to play at the end of the day.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like my accomplishment isn't I strictly want to get champ and that is all I'm playing for right now. No, I genuinely like just having a good game and playing with people who have a good understanding of the game as well.
Exactly.
So I
Yep.
genuinely don't care for champ. Like it's
Same.
like what you said. If it ends up just actually getting gone, cool. If it stays, cool. Don't care.
I mean, what is it? There's like 16,000 champs on PC right now. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
Like,
Here's a
you
lot.
know, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
So
Uh,
at that point, you're
Uh,
just devaluing what the rank really means. At
yeah.
the end of the day.
which,
There's not
yeah,
that many people in it.
because then you're walking a fine line because you devalue it by making it easy, but then if you make it hard, then that brings more boosting into the game. Because admittedly,
Right.
that's been something like you touched on the cheaters, and cheaters haven't been too bad. And there's been some hiccups where they've been rough, but boosting itself, like people just actually like
Mhm.
one person cheating and 4 people like defending him. I don't think I've seen that this season. I've seen like
No.
parties of like 3 and like 2 of them are cheating, but outright just boosting because people are hitting champ a lot easier, right? So
Right.
I think that's the one issue, in my opinion, is because of how many people are hitting champ. I think I wouldn't say it directly hits me, but I think it affects Ubisoft. It's going to be a lot of people that just get Smurfs, alts, and all that. They hit champ on those. Then it's going to be accounts to sell, in which they don't like.
That's
doing,
possible
or they
too.
don't like. So I think that's the reason why we have so many. It's not because it's the legit player base that's in silver hitting champ somehow. No, if you're a champ, you're going to be a champ. But I think it's the champs that just make alts and all that shit. They hit champ and then they just sell that account saying it's a champ.
That's not
So
impossible.
I think that's what it is with it right now. Because again, like if you're a champ, you're gonna hit champ. Period.
Right.
Yep,
Exactly.
Anything else?
I do know Force did want to talk about some Pro League stuff here while we have
Oh yeah.
time.
Yep.
But really quickly, like I transitioning to Pro League, I do want to ask Force, like currently right now for like from your perspective of Rainbow Six is like a competitive game at all levels of play, like in the competitive scene, so like tier 3 through 1, like how is the game for you other than like the crash or like the server issues? We're gonna ignore that. But like how does the game feel from a balancing point for you right now? Is it in like a good spot for a competitive game, or do you still think it needs some tweaking?
Uh, I would say that's like a depends on your play style. Depends on what you like.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing comp for quite a while. I played, through utility meta. I played in this current meta. Um, it's like it's 50-50, man. Like you're gonna play, I would say specifically in T3 and T2. A lot of it's gun skill. I'm not saying it's not strats, but majority of those guys that are getting noticed is based off their gun skill, not so much
Okay. All right.
structure of
I'm
play.
not big. Like I have no clue about the scene too much. So
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair.
if
But
anything, it's
yeah,
up to you.
that's why I want to ask the questions.
Yeah.
Um, so do you think then like there's not really a diverse like player base of like higher portions of the competitive scene to pick from? Like they are just only gonna look for like gunners, and like do you think that's not necessarily good? Do you think that's okay?
I mean, there's, I think so. It's hard because like I've played for a while and I've played against a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Played against some guys that are in PL now,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, man. Like T3 theoretically is basically who's got better gun skill because there's a huge gap, right? Like there's a huge gap between T3 and I would say even T2.
Mm-hmm.
In terms when you start stepping into T2, you actually start to get into the more structured gameplay with like legitimate IGLing and
Okay.
legitimate structure. T3 currently, there's some good T3 teams that just one of them just qualified for S SFCL or whatever that one was.
On
Um,
Saturday, correct, is what you're referring to?
yes,
Yeah.
yep. Like you could see the difference in those quals on who had a good IGL and on top of having good IGLing, but had the gun skill as overall as a, compared to
Okay.
teams that didn't.
Okay.
And I think now because there's not a lot of structure with Blast taking over in terms of like how do you make it? Like how do you go from T3 get to like it's just there's no real structure. Before it was okay, grind Challenger League, get noticed. Like at the end of
Yeah.
the day, that what you I hate to say it and it's still stand by this even now. If you're on a T3 team, the chances of you making T1 or making Pro League with that team are zero. You're
Yeah.
going to what's going to happen is you're going to get noticed, and it's selfish game now in terms of competitive because like that's what you're playing for. You're essentially you're playing to get noticed. If you're good and you're standout star, T3, T2, there's a good chance that you're going to get a shot somewhere along the lines, maybe try out for a PL team or a better T2 team.
Okay.
Um, so like in terms of that, like I don't know, man. I just think that your best case scenario now and competitive is to be coachable, like be able to learn the game at a high level, not just rely on your gun skill. Be coachable and obviously have the mechanics back that up, and you'll get noticed eventually.
Hmm.
So if I
That's my
understand, like,
perspective.
sorry, if I understand, so what you're saying is like in 2-3, it's really your gun skill, and then when other teams like T2, T1 teams start looking at you, they'll pretty much try and pick you up solo, and then they'll try and develop your craft to fit with their team, pretty much.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Hmm.
Or I mean, there's some good IGLs out there that are in T3 and T2. That they might not necessarily be the best player themselves, but they're good IGL. And the only
Mm-hmm.
thing I can tell you is if you're one of those players that plays in frag or flex or like in second,
Mm-hmm.
just be coachable. Learn as much as you can. Don't just rely on your gun skill because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, that's only going to so far.
Yeah.
Still have to be able to have good communication, good mindset,
Yeah.
things like that. So like at the end of the day, just be coachable and learn as much as you can if you are
You
mechanically
just
gifted.
want to show people that you have room for improvement, pretty much the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Hmm.
Okay. Cool.
No, that's really good insight, and I'm really happy you could share that with us today. And I mean, if anybody here is generally considering like looking at getting into T3, like I recommend you take that advice to heart and really think about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for that insight.
Yep.
Anything else you want to talk about, Coach or Nocturra?
I guess just the Pro League stuff
Okay.
to finish it off on. Yeah, huge roster changes. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, it was a crazy offseason.
It was, and it's not even over yet. I'm still seeing stuff come out. Like, Rise
Yeah.
announced he was benched today. Like, just for an example here, real quick, before we get
From
into
Wolves, right? Yeah.
yeah, and that one like just came out today. You know,
Yeah. A lot of NA shit's been going.
yeah, a lot
And then
of
we have NAL coming up soon too.
yeah.
Yeah, both next week, I think. Both
Well, and
starting.
there's and a lot of the stuff, the information that's floating out there is leaks. We won't touch a whole lot on leaks just out of respect. We'll just touch on the stuff that's confirmed for right now. But like so many leaks that have still yet to be confirmed. Like, and NAL is coming really, really soon. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, what? NAL, what? We have SSG dropped their whole roster, TSM left.
Well,
Astralis left.
SSG still has Faults and Houghton, and they're gonna build a team with
Oh,
that.
is it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought they dropped the
they
whole
kept,
roster.
no. They I talked to Sav quite a
Mhm.
bit. He was the assistant coach for SSG, and yeah, they're just rebuilding. That's all it is. SSG.
Okay.
I think they, from an outside perspective looking in, like just purely speculative, I think what they're trying to, because if I know what SSG's brand is, which I like to think I know a little bit of it, knowing some people there, it's really a like more of like a family brand than a business brand. Like that's what they try and make it out to be. And keeping Fultz and Houghton probably like the more down to earth players, I think really speaks into that when you, because like dropping like people like Rampy who, you know, are known for having a bit more of like he rubs a little bit with more people. I won't get into much more, or like Yeti, kind of same thing, right? So I think that's just kind of their goal moving forward. So I have no idea who they're going to pick up. I haven't even seen leaks on them, I don't think. Obviously I won't bring them up, but yeah, it's just Houghton and Faults left on SSG.
And then what? We have TSM, Astralis that dropped too.
Well, they dropped out of the league, of course. TSM and Astralis are gone.
Their rosters are free agents, so they're
Yes.
technically not. So they are. Like I said, there's quite a few leaks out there with stuff.
Because what?
Yeah, I mean,
M80 just picked up Spoit in Iconic.
Was that one confirmed now?
That was confirmed. They confirmed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
That was a big money buy there. Spoit made out like a bandit with what he's getting paid for that. Which I mean, rightfully so. I would argue probably one of the best players in the game right now. I think that's what it's coming down to, though. Is like essentially, I wouldn't say super teams, but like teams that are looking for specific players to play a certain role, and
they're looking for the best of those roles.
Of those roles, exactly. And I think, if I'm honest, M80 didn't really have a lot of gaps in play. I thought they looked really good at Invite.
Same. I thought the same thing. I was super surprised when I heard it.
At the end of the day, Spoit is essentially LeBron James, and if you can pick him up, why wouldn't you? Kind of.
That's a good point.
They looked at it. They're like, hey, he's best player in NA or best player in Pro League. So, let's grab him if we have the chance. And that
kind of caught me off guard because he wasn't even with Koi/Rogue for even a year. I think, right?
He didn't even play T2. He went from basically being a rank gunner. He played some T3 and got his shot, his call up.
Yeah, because he played literally he joined Rogue months before Bird the Major, right?
Yeah, and then they won the major.
Yeah.
I think the problem with that team is that the team had a lot of gaps in its gameplay.
Sounds like they had a lot of internal issues from like what's been floating around, because like obviously the coach being gone, Meepy, Spoit being gone, and Kanto being gone, like those are huge players in the scene.
I mean, Kanto, I would say like any of the older players that are still playing, aka look at Rise, retired, he's older. A lot of LATAM teams have older players.
Yeah.
I mean, Palu's like 27, so like they've got older players, and I think that at the end of the day, as you get older and the game develops, if you don't stay where I wouldn't say even at your peak, but if you don't stay at a certain level, these younger kids that are coming up, the level that they're playing at is significantly higher, and at the end of the day, you're just going to get rushed out kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kanto hadn't played very well for what he had like sparks of games where he like old Kanto, but for the most part,
Yeah.
play what
It's
he
like
needed to
here
play.
and there, like things, not really consistency. Yeah.
Yeah, and that team literally had one play, and that was Floyd kill everybody, cry and kill some people, and Kanto try and kill people. And
Yeah.
when that didn't work,
The team kind of fluttered. Yeah.
right, you got to look at something, you know.
Yeah.
So
Agreed. Okay. That's understandable then. I see that. What else happened?
My
Julio-
favorite one.
Or Julio. I said Julio. Julio is on W7M now.
No, he was
no, he's coaching.
coaching in Europe. I think
Europe,
Eminem.
Yeah, he went.
Eminem, that's right.
yes,
He's coaching
yeah.
Eminem. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
He's
I think is good for that team. That's
oh,
a good
huge.
Team.
That is a very that's a team with a lot of potential. They just need the direction.
Yeah, and I think that he's going to bring a certain play style that specifically EUL isn't going to be used to. I think that Eminem fits that mold though.
Yeah.
Their play style, I think that's it's like overall a good pickup for them.
Yeah. I'm excited to see him as a coach.
Yeah.
I think that'll be great.
But yeah, my favorite one that's been announced now and that I'm looking forward to. I don't know if the team. I don't know the other 3 members because they've only announced the 2, and some people already might know who I'm talking about. And I don't know how far this team is gonna go. Pardon?
Skies and Lex.
Yes. I don't know. I'm a sucker for like old duos reuniting, and like that's one of the oldest duos in the book. Probably the only. Yeah.
That's gonna be fun to watch.
It's gonna be so fun to watch.
If they get 3 people that they can enable, I think they'll be good. I've only ever had one problem with Laxing. It's got a weird play style.
Everybody says that. Literally everybody says that.
He has a weird play style. He plays a lurk, and the current meta, lurking kind of rough to do.
Yeah. Because you're always.
I don't know. I personally don't know who they picked up on their 3.
They haven't announced it. I've seen leaks, so I won't say. But they've announced those 2. I will say I think it's all like newer faces. I can't remember the.
It's got it. Well, there's still quite a few of the TSM guys. I know like only 2 of them confirmed on where they were going. I don't even know if they're confirmed. I know only 2 are leaked. So there's still quite a few teams that have like guys that are out there on the market.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that team specifically is going to need young gunners. I think Sky's a good player. I think he's good. Like just overall, he's a good like motivational kind of person. He's good support.
Yeah, good. I like them. They're all chill.
So I think, like I said, if they pick up what they need to in those 3 roles, those 3 spots that they have.
Did they say what team they were going to, or it's just that
Parabellum?
Parabellum.
Oh, Parabellum. Okay.
Yeah. No. Parabellum is making some big moves, and I think it's appropriate for them to with like a bunch of the huge orgs dropping out. Like if you want to make your name in Siege, get what you can and like try and put money into it. So it makes sense because Parabellum isn't like a huge org, right? So
yeah, right.
All right, that's interesting. I had no clue about that either, so that's news to me. I actually
really,
didn't know about that. Yeah, I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited for that. DZ hasn't announced who their 5th is going to be.
Who they drop?
Skies.
Oh, that's right, Skies.
Yeah. Which was sad, but they haven't announced who they're going to be. Obviously, SSG hasn't announced what their other like the whole like more than half their team is going to be.
Big NAL's a big spot, like the big what if spot right now, though.
Yeah, Mirage is having issues picking up players due to payment issues. They
got that worked out though.
Did they? Okay, so Mirage will probably be announcing a roster here pretty soon.
I would say it would have to be within this week, right? Like
probably
it's in 2 weeks, right? NAL's in 2 weeks.
No, NAL's in 1 week. I thought it starts next week. I thought it starts. No, I might be wrong. Maybe it's the 19th now. It was originally the 9th, and then it got pushed. So it's either going to be 14th or the 21st, right? One of those. So yeah, I guess it could be 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's interesting because it's closing down on it. So
yeah.
They'll wait. They'll probably wait last minute, probably the week of Pro League, and they'll announce rosters and stuff like that just to get everything finalized. But
they probably don't want to say anything, like because probably a lot of the stuff is probably still legitimately in talk. Like
contracts are hard to negotiate now because with Blasty's taking over, there's a lot less. I wouldn't say there's a lot less chance of money, but there's a lot more downtime. So you're going from 4 majors to 2 majors, and then no talks of minors. And
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no
so
minors, none of that. Just it's literally just 2 majors, one being in May, the other being in November, and then you have SI.
right, and so the big part of that, like a lot of teams leaving, it's not everybody wants to pigeonhole like this on UB. Don't get me wrong, UB, from my understanding, from the insight that I have with talking with pro coaches or pro players, is that UB just is very clouded. They don't really announce all their stuff. They're not transparent on things, and they wait until the last minute to kind of talk things out. So with Blasty taking over and it's only going to 2 majors and the invite, you've got a lot of downtime. So like it doesn't make sense for an org to pay players consistently for the entire year when now you're doing half of what you were doing before.
Oh,
So
okay, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so
I've heard a
you
lot
got
of that.
players,
Yeah.
it just from a business standpoint, it doesn't make sense. Okay, I'm not going to pay you 12 months out of the year this amount of money when realistically your grind time is half that. Just doesn't
yeah,
make sense.
Well, yeah.
So you've got that issue right there. So like, there's a lot of contract talks. TSM pulling out of there. There's a lot of orgs, rightfully so, pull out just because it doesn't make sense for the money.
yeah,
Um, and esports in a whole overall, not just R6, just in general, is losing money right now. A lot of teams they're just being smart with their money and their business on where they want to go, what they're going to do, where can we
yeah,
make the most money, which is understandable. And like I said, it doesn't help that Ubisoft isn't always the most transparent company to deal with on that level between
yeah,
Blast, pro teams, the orgs, just everything.
yeah.
So there's like that gap there. It's a big question mark on what they're doing, when they're going to start, when they play.
Yeah, that was my
So
thing because when they announced it that a lot of these things are starting like in a week or whatever the date was, what is it, the 14th or the 21st? I was like, what
yeah,
what teams are picking up who right now? Because we just
right,
saw
right,
so many roster drops. How are we already
Yeah.
having an AL start? Like
yep,
it lost me, and I was like, well, that's where's the communication on that one?
right,
Somebody,
yeah.
somebody, somebody messed up somewhere.
Yeah, there's definitely. I mean, that's always been UB though. If I'm
Yeah,
honest, I mean, I've been
yeah,
watching Pro League start of it, and they've never been really. I mean, I personally think, probably not a lot of people are gonna like it. I thought ESL ran it really well. I thought that was probably the only time that there was transparency on things was when ESL was basically the big one.
mhm.
There was structure behind it. Like you knew how to get to from T3 to
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
you
That has
right
been
now
a
you
huge
don't
issue
you don't have
lately.
that now because like essentially CL's gone. Like there's no CL. So you have PL and that's it. So now it's like I said, the only way to really get anywhere now is to get noticed.
yeah,
So like I said, the only thing you can do right now if you're T3 or T2 is invest in yourself. Like if I was somebody in a T2 position, I'd be streaming every day just
make a
so I
name for
had
yourself.
some kind of backup, some other income because now I think you're gonna see a lot more pro players start streaming more because well, your salary either they are gonna pay you all 12 months a year, but it's gonna be half of what they were paying
They're
you
cutting it.
because so I mean, if I was a pro player anyways, that's what I'd do. I'd invest in myself. I wouldn't rely on
Oh yeah,
anybody to make that money. I would just
oh yeah.
stream and
While you
make my
have
own
your
money that
name,
way.
yeah, while you
Exactly.
have your name with a big org, you might as well try and really
Right.
pursue other things while having your name under that org. Therefore, you create your own kind of like fan base kind of thing. So therefore,
Right.
when
You're
that
never
org,
pigeonholed.
yeah,
Hmm.
You always have a fallback. You have a backup. So even if your longevity in pro league wasn't that long, at least now
mhm,
you have okay. I know I can make it off of, or whether it's you, whatever it may be.
yeah,
Like that was my biggest thing that I saw with pro players, and now they're like either unemployed or whatever. It's
yep,
like, man, why you had that and you were on that pedestal? Invest in yourself and do what you
yep.
need to do, so that God
Yeah.
forbid anything does happen, you have the option to do this.
Yeah,
Whether
it
it's a
seems
pro
like
player or whatever.
a lot of the pro league players kind of like were very lenient on, or not lenient, just they were just very like dependent on that their name being on the team, and that was it. They
Right.
didn't decide. Like some of them just don't stream generally, and it's like I don't understand it. Like do something with your brand, like make something of
Yeah.
yourself,
Exactly.
because
Brand
what's
yourself.
happening with NAL or NA right now is a prime example of why you should be doing that.
Exactly.
Because
This
a
should be a
team could
wake up
drop you like
call.
that.
Exactly. It should be a wake up. If you have, like I said, if you're T2 or you have the option to play in T2 or you're mechanically skilled, I would just stream. Do whatever you need to. And if you don't want to stream, YouTube then. Like
Yep.
I get the pro
Hmm.
player. A lot of pro players like, well, they scrim their day isn't just an 8-hour day. I'm assuming it's probably closer to 10 to 12.
Mhm.
So then it's like afterwards, do I really want to boot up Siege and stream after I just did all this?
Yeah.
And obviously I hate to say it, the whole term hard work pays off kind of thing. I mean, it's
Yeah.
either that's what you're gonna do or you're gonna go get a normal job after your career's done with.
Yeah.
Because
Pretty much.
you're not
Yeah.
gonna make that much money to be like, okay, I'm retiring now and this is all I'm gonna do. Unless you're
Yeah.
somebody like Bo.
Unless, yeah, I was saying
Yeah,
unless
I
you're
mean
like somebody
Bo
like Bolo or Pengu or somebody. Yeah.
Bo's the only one that I know that did it like the correct way. I mean, he streamed occasionally when he was still on TSM at its peak,
Yep.
and look at him now. He was fortunate enough to make himself a brand. He had his brand before he signed with TSM, though.
Yeah.
He was
But
like the
he
first.
kept that community with him though,
Right.
while being in the pro scene. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
Like
like
he would
the
still
only.
stream, he would still give the content for YouTube. Not he wouldn't do it frequently as much as he used to, but he still did it though to let his audience know that hey, I'm still here. Don't worry about it. So
Right.
that now, for instance, like what TSM did, or when he left TSM, now TSM dropped the roster, he had a backup plan. That's what I think. That's what a lot of pro league leaders need to start doing.
Actually, Pangu did that as well. I should say Pangu also created a brand while he was a player. But yeah, no, as a general rule, like you actually just kind of opened my eyes to it. I just realized like if you think about the amount of pro players that actually stream and like create a brand while in pro league, it's probably so small compared to like other games like Valorant or whatnot. Like nobody does it, and that's whack.
Yeah.
Latam I know plays like I would say majority of the streamers I watch are Latam. Like I would say their pro scene's pretty good about streaming. A lot of them stream. A lot of them do extra stuff outside of outside of pro play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's far in between on NA and like.
Now, do you think that's because people from LATAM or just generally the LATAM scene, they probably enjoy the game, like genuinely enjoy Rainbow Six more?
Yeah, I think so. You can tell.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of LATAM streamers that will have their normal day as a pro player and then stream after. You can see it just in general. FPL, like a lot of those guys play FPL. Look at the difference between FPL between NA and EU compared to LATAM.
Yeah.
I would say NAL is probably a joke. A lot of people go there to play and they're just messing around.
Yeah.
EUL for the most part is pretty similar. I mean, they maybe play a little more serious, but LATAM, like they legitly play FPL because they like to play the game and they're just playing the game at that point.
Yeah, because when I'm watching like a lot of the NA Pro League players play FPL, it just seems like all it is it's just like
it's a troll.
It's to show it's to troll each other. Honestly, I just see it's more so for the drama part. Honestly, I swear half the time when I'm watching it, I see more all chat than I do gameplay.
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
it's just shit talking all day.
Yeah, it's just a different scene.
Yeah.
Well, that's why Super wants to like create an NA alternative to FPL because he realizes that there's a huge.
He has to now.
Yeah.
FPL NA, what is it? FPL's gone. They're not putting money into it.
Well, I know, now, but like even before then, he was like talking about that long ago.
Yep. I think Super, as much as everybody gives him shit, I think Super's really good for. I think that he's smart.
Oh yeah, for the scene, 100%.
He's good for the scene if you don't see him. I agree. He's a smart guy. Like he has some good ideas. He is not good PR though.
I think that's his persona.
It is.
From my understanding, he's a pretty good dude for the most part.
I was gonna say that for when I've been told that he's actually like
really okay. Maybe I just had the wrong idea.
Yeah, no, you definitely. It's just like I wouldn't say Drip is like Super because Drip is just Drip. He's not.
No,
I personally don't like the guy, but. As far as like Super goes, a lot of it he plays the villain. I think for the most part he's really good for.
Okay.
I've heard that from a lot of people.
I think he's good PR. I think he's got a lot of good ideas. I think he knows the direction in which the game goes to be better. I think he's good at marketing. Like he's marketable.
No, yes, 100%. I would never take that away.
I think that's something that UB lacks as a whole is being marketable. I just don't think they do a good job of it. Like they don't do enough advertising for like SI. They don't do enough advertising in general for their pro scene.
I agree with that. And when they do end up doing like advertising, I think it's because like a lot of people like beg it out of them almost.
Yeah,
that was
crazy. Which is crazy to me because it's like there's still love for the game. Like this game still has, it still gets its views, it still gets its players, it still has all these things that are good for it. And it's like it almost feels like they just don't care.
It's neglecting. They're almost neglecting it.
Like if you go look at CS:GO, CS:GO's been around forever, and it's still marketable today.
Yeah.
And it's because they actually market it.
Yeah.
I would say COD is the same way. Overwatch, I don't follow Overwatch a lot on esports, so I'm not sure. Um, but like those two brands right there, I mean, they're marketable. They make their money. They advertise what they need to advertise, and they do a good
Yep.
job of it. Where I feel like
Agreed.
Ubisoft lacks huge in their
Yeah.
tournament. It's like they could be doing so much more in marketing for the pro level.
Yeah.
The problem with it, I think, what it comes down to is that, if I'm honest, probably I'm going to say 70% of the player base is more of a casual player base. They're not in that, maybe they're not
Yeah.
huge
I can agree
into,
with that. Yeah.
T3, T2, T1. So
Mhm.
like the market isn't there. Maybe I'm wrong in saying Ubi doesn't do a good job. Maybe the market's just not there. But
Hmm.
regardless, I mean, how hard is it to make a Twitter post to hype
Yeah,
an
I was gonna
invite
say
or
just
whatever it may
do
be, just to
something.
hype shit up? Like you can't tell me it's going to cost you an arm and a leg to do those things. That's
Because
at
the
the
most
very
we
least
the
should
most
be
we
done.
get with hype right now, right, is like usually they'll just take the prior event that just happened and just make like a little like segment or mini movie and just promote it and saying, well, now this is the next one that's happening, and that's it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's nothing much after that. So yeah, I do agree. I think marketing and I think like hyping up like just generally the pro scene needs to start getting up there. They need to start working on that a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah,
100%.
I agree.
Because without the pros, like we literally wouldn't have events. Like, and I think they need to start like putting more emphasis on that, or just we need to start recognizing like, yeah, like pro league is kind of not what makes Siege. Obviously, we have a huge community, but it's like without the events, there's what are we really doing with Siege then?
I mean, honestly, bold statement, but at least first year, like the competitive scene, like pro league, like high tier play was what prevented Siege from dying.
Yeah,
Because the idea of the game being like you can do so many things, you can play the game how you want, you can create new strategies. If that wasn't showcased in Pro League, the game would have died back in year one when it nearly did. A lot of people don't remember this. Like when Dustline came out, like this game was almost dead.
yeah,
So close.
Yep.
yeah. I remember 'cause I was one of the people who joined during Dustline. I was like, I don't even want to play this shit. Like, I literally left. Like I tried it, I left Dustline, but then I came back like Red Crow, and I was like, I kind of enjoyed it, but
Mm-hmm.
aside from the point. But like, yeah, I do agree. Yeah, I remember back in the day, yeah, the pro scene kind of did kind of boost Rainbow to what it kind of is now, to be
Yeah.
honest.
No, 100%. Um, is there anything else? I know Force has scrims to get to here right away, so we'll have to cut it short here regardless. But is there any other like really quick things anybody needs to bring up before we cut it?
I think I'm good. I think I got everything I touched on.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Good.
Well,
Fix us out.
yeah. Really appreciate your insight today, Force. It was a very different perspective than what we've had so far on the podcast. So I really much appreciated everybody in the chat. Thank him for his insight. It was super helpful and just neat to talk about today.
Yeah, we really appreciate you, Forrest.
Yeah, I appreciate being on here, guys.
Much
It was
love.
fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Is there anything that you want to plug of yourself before we go?
Please do.
I don't even know my Twitter. That's it. I think
It's R6 Force. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so
Yeah,
here,
that's
I'll
about
put
all
it
I
in
got.
twitter.com/R6 Force, right?
Yep.
Boom. Cool.
Alrighty.
There you go. Everybody go give him a follow. Much love to Force for tuning into today's episode 5 of R6 Cos-Cast. Much love to you all. And thank you for being here. Have a wonderful day/night, and hope to catch you on the next one. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.